Live
Love that music.
from a free float flavored Dorito.
Ooh. I don't like Doritos.
It's the well, you haven't tried the free float flavored Dorito, so
Yeah. Still not gonna like it.
do you know it took me being an adult to realize a Dorito really is just a tortilla chip with flavoring on it? I didn't know that.
Did you know it took me to being an adult to realize Doritos are just like a brand of Pepsi?
Do you know it took me to be an adult to realize that there are other chips other than potato chips? Being from Maine, I didn't even know there were things other than potatoes.
Do you know it
I'm
took
from
me
Maine.
being an adult
I'm actually not
to
kidding
realize
about that one.
Yeah, I know. I'm not kidding about any of it, really.
It's the ESG industry's only weekly woke data podcast featuring analyst Matt Moscardi. Hey-o!
Hey-o, that's me, yeah.
In today's big bag of ESG nuggets called October 18th, 2023, a bunch of ESG headlines, an anti-woke roundup from your favorite analyst hole, and a word from the great Paul Hodgson from S-Gage.
Yeah.
Woo!
Who is S-Gage?
Our show today is being sponsored by S-Gage, your ESG data solutions provider. Paul will jump on later to talk about director, race, and ethnicity. That sounds like a quick and easy topic.
Yeah, no, that should... Hopefully, that'll be a topic that we can sum up in less than a minute.
In the U.S., you can do that, yes. Ready?
All right. I need to play you in, don't I?
Yeah, but we got a time crunch today. We got to get rolling. Come on.
I know, we do have a time crunch. Let's do this thing.
Let's start with a story that I don't want to talk about, so maybe Matt can bail me out a bit. Marc Andreessen is getting raked over the coals for calling social responsibility the enemy. I guess this dope dropped... He put on the internet a techno-optimist manifesto.
Yeah, read it. I read the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like 5,000 words. I guess one of the takeaways is that it sees a world of 50 billion people settling other planets. It says, we are the apex predator. The lightning works for us. What does that mean? Is that like a reference to a movie I haven't seen?
No, but I love the narcissism. I really do.
What is that?
It's my favorite.
I realize that everything from Silicon Valley is a reference to some insipid pop culture, and it's something that they don't even get right because, that both Marc Andreessen and Elon Musk referred to George Orwell today, and they both are major anti-communists, anti-socialists. Matt, George Orwell was a raving socialist. In fact, he was a militant socialist. Like, he actually fought in wars as a socialist. Like, he enlisted. So once again, like, we're just led by uneducated, dopey, authoritarian tech bros. Like, that's all it is. So
let's be clear also how they came to their authority, right? Because their narrative would be
subverting democracy.
We make
subverting their shareholders.
Bets. No. Go back to the origins,
go
right?
ahead.
Like, we made smart investments. We fostered in the crucible of Silicon Valley, the future of humanity with things like Facebook and AI and social media and all. We are the smartest of the smart, the elitist of the elite.
We represent true merit.
Pick winners and losers. It was all meritocracy. Mm-hmm. It will have nothing to do with the fact that, like, they had all the advantages and might have gotten just incredibly lucky enough to get super duper wealthy and then push everyone around with that wealth.
Not to mention that they completely subverted the democratic process of owning a public corporation, of running a public corporation by completely changing the voting rights and eliminating all oversight over their terrible ideas.
Not listed in his list of enemies was dual class shares.
Let's get to that. He literally, Matt. I mean, these are children. He literally has a section called quote, the enemy, unquote.
Yeah.
I mean, really, these are just all these tech bros. They live in a world that their understanding was shaped by Star Wars, the movie in 1977. Like, they're that base in their thinking. It is just pure good versus evil nonsense. But here's what the enemy section says. Again, I'm quoting, and this is what the ESG people understandably pissed about because they're listed in there. Our present society has been subjected to a mass demoralization campaign for 6 decades. And when does that start, Matt? Like in the
6
civil
decades?
rights, the civil rights movement is that, but that is 60 years ago is 1963, right? That is almost the exact start of the civil rights movement. I mean, this guy is a complete asshole. I'm sorry.
I love it. I love it when you get all animated. You're so angry right
it drives me crazy that we as a society let this keep going. Like we don't put up guardrails. But anyway, he says a demoralization campaign for 6 decades against technology and against life.
Against life.
Yeah, I don't even understand that. Which is odd because really what you're railing against is women and people of color. And women are literally the givers of life, but I don't want to get into that.
No. Come on.
He says that he calls this a demoralization campaign under varying names like existential risk, sustainability. I'm literally, Matt, these are literally his enemies. ESG, he actually writes the acronym. Sustainable Development Goals. That's a bit specific.
Having a goal for sustainable development is an enemy to life.
Social responsibility? Honestly. Stakeholder capitalism, precautionary principle, trust and safety of all things. Tech ethics, risk management, Matt. Risk management. This is coming from Silicon Valley that begged the government to bail them out after Silicon Valley Bank went under. They begged for that bailout. And finally, degrowth and the limits of growth. Whatever. I feel like I'm kind of done with this. I will say he also mentioned another enemy as being monopolies, which is ironic considered most of the tech empire are monopolies run by
fake
autocrats.
Public companies. Yeah, fake
so
public.
there you go.
Wow.
I'm done with this. If you want to add anything, just go ahead. I can't stand it. Yeah.
Are you though? Because I guess the only thing that I would add in here is his list of credits.
Yeah.
So the
citations.
At the end,
they're not actually citations because
they're not.
One of the enemies, Matt, is the ivory tower. So he hates academia, so he wouldn't actually cite things properly.
He actually writes, quote, in lieu of detailed endnotes and citations, read the work of these people and you too will become a techno-optimist, right? So he just lists names of people that he likes.
I'm guessing we're definitely going to find people like Toni Morrison and Bell Hooks on that list.
Yeah, 100%. So I did do the actual deep dive. I went through, there's got to be, let's see. I have the actual number of names.
We're quantifying. We're quantifying this.
He listed 53 names, and I excluded the 3 people who are fake people, right? Like I can't find information about who they are. He had 3 people who was just like their Twitter people he follows on Twitter.
Yeah, go ahead.
In his lists.
Good for you, Mark.
So the other are 53 real human beings. I went and Googled every single one of them. And got their race, ethnicity to the extent that I could find it, and whether they were male or female, alive or dead, right? It turns out that to be a techno-optimist, the people that you would read are 90% male and 94% white. So that's really all we're talking about here.
That's actually, I'm actually impressed that 10% of that list was women. Honestly, I'm honestly impressed. Like, I'm not kidding you at all.
100% of the women were white women.
Okay, but still.
And Ayn Rand, not on the list.
Okay, well, that's just a little too obvious.
Yeah, it was a little too on the nose. What else you got? This was really exhausting.
Why don't we just stay in the world of stupid male CEOs? And again, I'm just reporting the headlines. I don't make this stuff up. I mean, Matt, this next story is really maybe the all-time high or low. I don't know how you want to look at it. For whichever,
they're both right.
I worried that when we started this company that with the way that social media is and just the amount of content out there that there wouldn't CEOs would wise up and just wouldn't do stupid stuff, because why would you be an idiot in the public light, right? In the public
because of us.
court, right? Not just because of us, just in general. But it just never stops. Air Asia CEO Tony Fernandez posts shirtless photo of himself getting a massage during a management meeting. And there actually is a photo of him being massaged by a woman wearing a hairnet and a mask, rubbing his naked torso. I mean, it's this. I don't know what to say about this. The crazy thing to me is that the headline from Business Insider says that this sparked debate. I mean, what's the debate here?
Yeah, there's not a debate.
What's the pro on that one? Yeah.
I'm sorry. The headline doesn't do justice. The picture, which if you haven't seen, search for Tony Fernandez Air Asia
Or don't.
in Google Images.
Yeah, or
and
don't.
You'll get the picture. It's like the top picture now. But B, this wasn't a screenshot from someone on the call who said, "Look at my inappropriate."
No, he
boss."
posted this on LinkedIn.
He posted it himself.
proud.
Not on X or like the dregs of social media, but on LinkedIn, the most professional of social media. The one where people are talking about like their professional lives.
And can I just say once again to the business press, and this is all the outlets, is why do you always hide away from who these people are? I actually changed the headline. The headline actually says,
I like this.
Says Air Asia exec. Why don't you name him? I mean, you will name and shame every young female celebrity until the cows come home. Did I just say that? What does that mean then when the cows come home? I don't
know. When do the cows come home?
His name is Tony Fernandez. He's the CEO of Asia. You can say who
that
he
is.
is.
Correct. He is.
He's not
Tony
a nameless
Fernandez.
exec.
Air Asia is owned by Toon. He is the executive chairman of Toon, and he owns multiple companies. It's an entertainment company, and he thought it would be cool and entertaining to show how chill he is getting a massage without a shirt on during a management meeting.
God. Moving on, this is a good one. This is another one good for us. The music has stopped for the CEO of Goldman Sachs. That's David Solomon, DJ D. Sol, amid reports that the bank's board was concerned his DJing sideline would distract him from his main job. Here's why I point this out. We have actually said repeatedly that he is a great target to lose his job. Why? Because our influencer data at Free Flow Analytics would suggest that he only controls 18% of board influence, which is low for a CEO in the U.S., and that's why the board had the ability to tell him to knock it the fuck off.
Knock it off.
Like, stop being a teenage boy. Do your job.
Here, this is a case study in how it's actually supposed to work. Because what happens is investors hire board members to represent them and their interests. Those board members hire the management team, really the CEO, and then approve the rest of the management team, and then hold them accountable to the investors. Now, when your CEO has too much influence, the board doesn't really do that. But when they are DJ D-Sol, they absolutely 100% can go in and say, this is an adult corporation with adult investors. Stop playing Lollapalooza.
Qantas. We've talked a lot about Qantas.
Oh, do we have to?
One more from Qantas, only because it falls into kind of our world. This is actually a story about how the Qantas hangover is a headache for directors on other boards. So this is squarely in our woke data zeitgeist. And here's the proof. Qantas director Maxine Brenner received 17% protest vote against her nomination on the board of Telstra. The only other person running was who they are calling a lesser-known director named Ming Long, received only 1% votes against. So they're saying there's a little bit of Qantas contagion.
Dong.
Yeah.
No, here's what I like about this. Mm-hmm. Our whole ethos, Free Flow Analytics, exists to give you the names of the people who run these companies, like the influence they have, the power they have. You know the people. You're buying people. If you're investing in a company, you're buying the people.
Yeah,
right?
Get with it, people. You are.
This very clearly is someone in Australia, some 17% of investors in Australia, remembered the name of the person who sucked at Qantas. One of the names of the people. That's great.
And quickly,
that's what you want.
The one that they should really be targeting is outgoing chair Richard Goyder. I'm going to remind everyone that he is also on the board of Woodside Energy Group. Our data, Matt, would suggest that he is by far the worst performer overall, coming in at an average across all of our metrics at 311, and the rest of the board is at 531. So there's no reason not to kick this guy out of there. Come on.
I will say on the flip side of that good news is the bad news that 83% of investors said, nah, she's cool.
Well, because they didn't do their due diligence. They didn't study
apparently
the topic.
They didn't read anything, and they just said, whoever you want to elect is fine, the management team.
A couple of glass cliff stories, and then I'll hand it over to you, Matt. First, Tupperware. Tupperware hiring its second female CEO. I mean, of all places, I'm sorry, but Tupperware. Only 2 female CEOs in 77 years. Lori Ann Goldman is its new CEO, announced yesterday. Tupperware has been through the ringer recently, barely surviving a tumultuous era that saw it run out of money, secure a life-saving debt restructuring,
float,
and do a stint as a meme stock. But I mean, talk about a glass cliff. But this is the woman who, to great success, was the CEO over there at Spanx for 12 years. So if anyone can turn around, it's her. But there's a nice glass cliff for you there at Tupperware.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as clear as Linda Yaccarino's glass cliff. Like it's like a translucent glass cliff. She can like see that there's a fuzzy bottom underneath her. Mm-hmm. But Linda Yaccarino's is like, it's crystal clear. She's basically looking at the void.
And how about this glass cliff scenario? I mean, this is like, I don't even know. We got to come up with a term with this. And this is the headline is, like many women, Kim Ng's success didn't keep her standing with the Miami Marlins. So this is Kim Ng. She was the general manager over there at the Miami Marlins. She has stepped down yesterday because despite the team having its best record in over 2 decades, they are appointing a man directly above her. So she was fed up. I don't know what you would call this. Just for some context, the year before she was hired, the team finished with 57 wins and 105 losses, the worst in the league. And this year, the team won 84 games to only 78 losses. So a huge improvement. Even attendance was up almost 50%. And talk about qualifications. She was the assistant GM at 2 of baseball's most successful franchises, the Yankees and Dodgers. So how do you define this glass cliff moment? What do you say about this? I mean, she succeeded, Matt, and they still brought a man in above her.
They brought in a man because she succeeded.
Well,
she cleaned.
But what do we even call
part
this?
Of the cleanup, right?
Yeah, I don't even know what you call this.
Isn't this like a glass flip, right? Like it's like you're flipping a house, right?
This is like the Vivek Ramaswamy house of idiocy. I don't know what this is. What is this?
I think it's a glass flip. She went into the house. It was a total mess. She had to be the janitor. Yeah. She cleaned it up. She knocked it down to its studs, rebuilt it. Now it's a beautiful gleaming house. And what happens? Someone says, "Thank you, give me the keys." And she's forced out.
So shouldn't Marc Andreessen and Vivek Ramaswamy over at Strive Asset Management, shouldn't they put all of their attention at this anti-meritocracy team, the Miami Marlins? They should focus all of their venom right there. Okay,
enemies. Enemy. All right, here's what I got. Let me play myself in though, because I love the music.
Oh, it always brings me down, that music.
I love it. Here's what I got. I have 3 quick things for you. Number 1, a boredom alert. EU ESG regulations still suck. So EU is proposing some new regulations, that are going out to comment. The EU is proposing now that anyone who buys ESG ratings have new regs. The good news is anyone buying an ESG rating from a big provider now must also buy an ESG rating from a small provider.
Like us.
This is a story from a responsible investor. Hat tip to Khalid Azizuddin for sending it to me. The buyers who are seeking more than one ESG rating should choose at least one ESG rating provider with a market share below 5%.
Wait, why can't this be us? Why can't we come up with an ESG rating quickly?
I'm saying everyone in Europe should just buy Free Flow Analytics. Done.
No.
You've done your due diligence here, but there's also some stupid in here because instead of regulating things like credit ratings, the way they regulate ESG ratings, we're holding ESG ratings to a much higher standard.
Of course.
Including they're disallowing ESG raters to do any consulting. I don't have a deep problem with that, but come on, everybody else is doing it.
Yeah.
They are forcing ESG providers to provide more information on how they pay their own taxes because they don't want some tax evasion. Meanwhile, you have story after story about how the Swiss banks are just evading taxes permanently. Like that's the permanent state, right?
Yeah.
But ESG ratings providers are going to be held to a higher standard.
This is more exhausting than this boring.
And then finally, they are actually forcing ratings providers. There's a suggestion that MSCI has come out pretty strong against this, that ESG ratings providers not charge fees that don't, quote, reflect the costs. Effectively, they're saying you shouldn't really make a profit on ESG ratings. Is kind of what they're saying. It should be at cost.
I'm okay with that. I don't care. What do I care? We're not making a profit.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all because I want to make a profit. What am I doing this for?
I didn't know we could make a profit. Is that possible?
Yeah, no, we never will.
Yeah. What else you got?
Second thing I want to talk about is it's an anti-woke update.
Oh.
But it's not the anti-woke anymore.
Okay.
The update is it's the parallel economy.
All right, well, it's like a new name for divestment, I suppose. Is that what it is?
So imagine if you had to basically invent nothing new, just redo everything that exists in the current economy that capitalism made, right? Like that we all hate because of capitalism.
I like this. Yeah.
You reinvent it.
I like this.
In a parallel economy,
yes.
and you make it with less brown people and gays in it. That's
I'm all for
dead
this.
serious.
I'm ready for the U.S. to split into two countries. We can keep all the hospitals and the scientists and all the Netflix and all the fun stuff, and they can make their own beer and their own scientists because they don't need scientists because they hate vaccines. So
there are no scientists.
Yeah, so
there are none.
I like this. This is fine with me.
This is not
I'm ready.
Us making this up. We know that Peter Thiel invested in Strive Asset Management.
A lot of money.
He does the creation of the part of the alternative to ESG and ISS and Glass Lewis, whatever the hell that ended up being. This is an actual thing. By this headline, Tucker Carlson's online media company just raised $15 million in seed capital through a group called 1789 Capital.
Oh, yeah, I actually know that group, unfortunately.
That group is led by Omid Malik.
Yeah.
Who is also the person who brought you the SPAC of Public Square. Public Square, which is the anti-woke marketplace.
This is even worse than Marc Andreessen. Marc Andreessen is fetishizing the time right before the civil rights movement started. This guy is fetishizing a time even when slavery was legal. I mean, right? Let's celebrate 1789.
1789.
Women couldn't vote. It was a great time. Yeah.
This is from 1789's website. Quote, they invest in three things. One is anti-ESG. One is deglobalization, like they want local stuff, whatever.
Fine.
Basically nationalism. They invite nationalism.
Okay.
And the third is what I think the new word for anti-woke is the replication / parallel economy. That's
right.
their investing
Yeah, wait for us to
tagline.
come up with the good ideas, and then they can make their own expensive beer.
And then finally, I want to take you out on this.
All right, come on.
Which is 5 companies I hate. For decades, you and I talked about how much we don't like these companies that now we have to defend. We are defending companies that we hate.
I'll see about that. Go ahead.
Number 5. Ready?
Yeah.
Goldman Sachs.
Wait, what? Why you? Okay, what?
Because DJ D-Sol is no more. That was like I loved hating on DJ
you loved
Diesel,
hating
and now
DJ
I have to defend the board for making the
that's
decision.
true.
Like this
That's
is the
true.
opposite of what
This
I
is-
want. I don't want good things to happen.
You realize that this is a copy of the movie Footloose. They're taking away dancing in the halls of the boardroom at Goldman Sachs. This is terrible.
This is good governance.
Yeah,
But
where's Kevin Bacon to rescue this
Now,
company?
now I have to defend the Goldman Sachs board, but here's some other ones. Ready?
Yeah.
Now I have to defend number 4, Disney.
I know this one's the most uncomfortable. I mean, I've hated Disney forever, and now I feel like I have to be their friend.
I mean, forget about them like screwing up and then fighting the Don't Say Gay bill and like all their trials and tribulations with Ron DeSantis. These are the 2 headlines that I saw just this week. Headline number 1, The Daily Wire is making its own Snow White movie to counter woke Disney film starring Latina.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. Why would we
Do you
want to have
realize
that?
like what they don't like about the new Snow White movie, aside from saying it's woke, is that Snow White is not quote unquote white. They're really upset about that.
Matt, you have to be a real true racist to be angry at a beloved American corporation for remaking its own movie in the way that it wants. They're not destroying original copies of the original Snow White. They're just remaking its own intellectual capital. That's how racist you have to be to care about that.
But this one drove me off the jump the shark cliff, which is new Bambi cause conservatives to cry woke.
Why is that?
Because remake may go easier on Bambi's mom.
I don't know what that means. I've never seen Snow White or Bambi. What does that mean?
Well, here's what that means.
Yeah.
So Bambi's mom gets killed in the first scene in Bambi. It's very sad, and
Okay.
here's the problem with this.
Thanks for a spoiler.
The movie hasn't been written yet. They actually haven't
so they're
done
worried.
this.
They're worried they're not going to kill Bambi's mom. That's what they're worried about.
Here's the quotes from the article. Quote, Piers Morgan, host of Piers Morgan Uncensored, considered Bambi the latest victim of woke war culture, criticizing the film's writers for potentially altering how the film portrays the death of Bambi's mother, because it hasn't happened yet. This is actually getting airtime in anti-woke land.
Oh.
And it doesn't exist. It's in pre-production. It hasn't even finished being written. Forget cast or animated or launch date. In fact, Tomi Lahren, the idiot anti-woke, said, I'm waiting for this Bambi remake to have a trans deer or maybe the mother dies from climate change. That's what they're literally talking about it now. Something that doesn't exist. It hasn't even been written.
Someone should hand her Marc Andreessen's new manifesto. I think she'd probably enjoy that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Number 3, Harvard. I now have to defend Harvard.
Yeah.
Because of this headline, Woke Central, Ron DeSantis wouldn't want a doctor from Harvard.
Yeah,
Really?
we talked about that, yeah.
Now I have to defend Harvard not being woke?
The man who went to Harvard is against Harvard.
He went to fucking Harvard.
Yeah.
He actually went there.
And he graduated. He's not like Mark Zuckerberg.
Number 2, Victoria's Secret.
Oh. What? Really? We have to defend them?
Because Victoria's Secret, although the headlines look like they might be going in the other way, it's misleading.
Well, he's pulling
Victoria's Secret.
The jerk of a founder is pulling money from Harvard.
That's correct.
Yeah, because he's angry.
Leslie
He's
Wexner.
angry at how they responded to the war in Israel. Yeah.
Now, this headline, Victoria's Secret bet on Megan Rapinoe, woke marketing push miserably backfires.
Oh.
They had ads with women who did not look like Giselle. And they're saying that this is now they're like, no more, we're banned, we don't want to buy, we're boycotting.
They have proof already that campaign failed. I mean, she's one of the most famous athletes in the world. I mean, why? How do they know it failed?
She started in June, and they announced that they have a 5% pullback in sales from last year.
Oh.
And they're blaming it on Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah, that's not the reason.
Like,
believe
I mean,
me.
come on.
Yeah.
Now I have to go out and Leslie Wexner's terrible organization I have to go defend.
I know for a fact, having a teenager teenage daughter that the whole generation they don't care. They don't like Victoria's Secret. They don't like anything it stands for. They don't shop there. So it has nothing to do with one of the world's best soccer players.
Not only because it's horrible, because it's uncomfortable and it's terribly made.
Stupid.
And
it's stupid.
It's stupid.
It's a male's version of women's underwear. Yeah.
Finally, BlackRock.
Oh, BlackRock. Yeah, they're easy to hate
because of this headline: Texas anti-woke fossil fuel law to be tested by BlackRock funds. In Texas, they passed a law that said BlackRock discriminates against fossil fuels, and you can only use BlackRock funds if you've done your due diligence and it's in your best fiduciary interests. So what happened? The pension funds in Texas said, we did our due diligence and we want to include BlackRock. But no, the state's comptroller said, you should reconsider.
What?
You should reconsider that. If there's any alternative to BlackRock, you need to consider it. Well, so now what he's effectively doing is saying, I don't care.
Any alternative.
He's overriding
any alternative.
Any alternative. He basically is saying, pick not BlackRock. Sorry, this is a vendetta against BlackRock.
I'm sorry.
And now
that is just
literally
bizarre.
have to defend
it's just
them.
bizarre. Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
So those are 5 companies that now I hate, but now I have to defend.
Paul's here. He's been knocking on the door. You haven't heard him. I've been muting my mic. But
let's bring in Paul.
Right.
Paul,
calm down,
tell
Paul.
us stuff. Yeah, calm us down. Here we go, Paul.
Hello there. Paul Hodgson from S-Gage with S-Gage Statistic of the Week. So we spent a couple of weeks looking at gender on the board and in management and amongst employees. So I thought that this week we would turn to race and ethnicity among directors. Now, there has been a steady growth in the proportion of companies disclosing the ethnicity of their directors, which is the first thing that you need if you want to do some data analysis. Back in 2018, it was 3.8% of companies made any disclosures about director ethnicity. That went up. The biggest jump was in 2020, up from 7.8 to 27.7%. But it's continued to climb since then, and now almost 2/5 of companies disclose the race or ethnicity of their directors. Now, disclosing it is one thing, but what race or ethnicity are they disclosing? Well, the data tells us that white Caucasian directors occupy 4/5 of each board on average as a percentage of the total. It's been hovering around 78, 79, 80% for the last 6 years. It's dropped a little last year from 80% to 79.1%, but it's really hovering at that level. Shockingly enough, the proportion of African American directors has actually fallen during this time period from 2018 to 2023, despite efforts to increase the ethnic diversity of boards. Back in 2018, it was 10.9%. It rose briefly to 11.6% in 2019, but now it's fallen back to 8.1%. Shockingly enough, also, the proportion of Latinx or Hispanic directors has actually fallen during this period as well. Again, from 7.5% in 2018 down to 3.8% in 2023. The only ethnic group that has seen an increase in the proportion of directors on boards is Asian, Hawaiian, or Pacific Islander, which rose from 3.3% in 2018 to 8.5% in 2023. So we clearly have made some progress on increasing the number of women on boards, but increasing the ethnic diversity of directors appears to be something, at least in the US, that is beyond us. So this is Paul Hodgson from S-Gage Statistic of the Week, signing off.
That was supposed to be uplifting. It was not.
No, not so much.
That's
we don't do uplifting. We are what are we? We are we're part of the mass demoralization campaign because we're reporting on them.
That's
so
true.
We're demoralizing them.
That's Damien Rollis. I'm your analyst, Matt Moscardi. You heard from Paul Hodgson, the great Paul Hodgson of S-Gage, your ESG solutions provider. We are Free Float. We are also sponsored by freefloatanalytics.com. Go there. get the data that we talk about. Until Friday when we wrap up the week, goodbye.